Welcome, friends. Spiritual awakening at the level of the gut is quite a transition. There's almost no fear from that point on. That fundamental fear that of death, or that you could be debased, or that you could be abandoned, or you could be alone. I mean, most of those things are tied to existence. And before that opening at the gut level, our existence is very much tied to our body, our social connection, and we we aren't as we aren't noticing our being as independent from our body, as not dependent from our on our body. But as we feel this that we are, more and more we notice this dynamism, this aliveness, this vibrancy, this vitality that doesn't depend on the body. Even if the body is weak and in pain and the awareness may feel confused, there's a knowing of a eruption of what is. A being that isn't physical existence, an essence that is a unstopping unfolding and unstopping erupting, and a potent realness, more real than the body. And the more that we sink into that, marinate in that, marinate as that, we feel, we know, we experience this core aliveness, this timeless aliveness, this immense aliveness as what we are. And now the body's just an experience. Now illness is just an experience. Confusion is just an experience. And so we're unharmable. And that waking up at the level of the gut, it makes having a body just a fun ride for as long as it lasts. And there's a freedom to express fully as all that life moves in us to do. We can love fully. We can give fully. We can explore fully, because we're not hindered by this fundamental fear that we'll stop existing. So much of our limitation is all about that. We will think, I can't give that much. I can't create that much. I can't experiment that much, because we're afraid it's going to cause us to be alone and cause us to die. But all of that isn't so relevant when we know we can't die. And when we know that what we are is the primary aliveness and is what we can't not follow. So how do we cultivate that? Well, in meditation, you might feel that aliveness, feel where life kind of flows into this particular expression, and feel back into that well of aliveness out of which this particular body-mind is coming forth. And then bask as this. We can bask as this unstoppable, unharmable awareness. And then when we act in our lives out of something that is fearful, out of something that is anxious, out of something that is protected, we can do inquiry. because, those things, they will eventually unravel, but there is this availability of inquiring, and then we can actually see, oh, right. One of the simple inquiries is simply take the well of compassion and surround the thing that looks like it needs something with compassion. And then take the well of attention and just look and see, where has there been misperception? Where is there a bigger perspective? And then well of action. How can I act in alignment with this truth that I know? As long as I'm acting as though I'm a limited person who's going to get hurt or going to die, then I will feel like that. Regardless of what I know, if I'm acting as though, it will be hard to abide in the unharmable infinite that I am. So we really carefully look at our actions. There were times when my budget was so strict. I knew how the money was supposed to go. So if I got asked to give money, it had to be within those outlines. Now I just feel in and sense, what is the amount that's arising right now? And then I give that. Assuming that I have enough to give that, I give that. And then, whatever future needs are going to come my way, I know that they'll work out. Because there's just this openness. When there was the lockdowns, I just checked in with some people who pay me rent. Can they afford their rent? If they couldn't, I knew I couldn't charge it. I didn't know if I could afford it, but I knew that's what I had to do. It was just because there was not the fear. So that's the freedom to get to be the person I wanted to be, the landlord I wanted to be. That's such a freedom. And sometimes it's the freedom to say no. Maybe we're giving out of, some need to fix the world, or some need to be a hero, or some need to save someone else. And actually, that giving isn't coming from that deepest, creative, connected, abundant place. And we can say, no, I know that there's another option for them. Because we're not afraid for them either. We're not afraid for ourselves. We're not afraid for them. So we're not giving out of fear. There's just this sense that life prevails. What is prevails in all kinds of forms. We don't need it to look a particular way. Awakening at the level of the gut is where that life prevailing just becomes the known. And so all the expressions are so free. Just so much less fear, so much less accommodation, because it's right, it's good. So you're probably noticing these things in yourself, and this maybe is just helping you define it, focus it, allow it to flourish more. But it can come in all the different orders. It doesn't have to go head, heart, gut. And it's an ongoing experience usually. So welcome to exploring this opening at the level of the head, opening at the level of the heart, and opening at the level of the gut.